It was just a typo, Diego. Don't be dramatic. My fiancée put her ex's name on our wedding invitations, kept smiling as 300 guests applauded, and forced me to realize our entire marriage was built on a lie. At that moment, instead of making a scene, I raised my champagne glass and smiled. You're right, love, I said aloud for everyone to hear. Mistakes happen like the mistake I'm about to correct right now. I'm Diego Ramirez. I'm 31 years old, and until 2 weeks ago, I thought I knew the woman I was going to marry. Camila and I had been together for 4 years. We met at a digital marketing conference where we both worked for different companies. She was a social media coordinator. I was a content strategy specialist. Our connection was instant. We shared the same musical tastes. We both loved to travel, and we had that chemistry that makes hours feel like minutes. For the first 2 years, our relationship was perfect. Camila was attentive, affectionate. She always remembered the little details that mattered. She'd make my coffee exactly how I liked it, remembered important dates, and had this way of making me feel like I was the center of her world. My family adored her, especially my mother, who constantly told me not to let her go. My friends considered her part of the group, and she got along incredibly well with all of them. When we hit our 3-year anniversary, I decided it was time to take the next step. I planned an elaborate proposal during a trip to Cartagena. I rented a private yacht. I hired a discreet photographer, and at sunset with the Caribbean Sea in the background, I got down on one knee and asked her to marry me. Camila cried. She said yes between sobs, and that night we celebrated at an exclusive restaurant in the historic district. She uploaded photos to all her social media with the ring shining on her finger with captions like, "I said yes to the love of my life, and forever with you." The comments were filled with congratulations, hearts, and well wishes. The wedding preparations began immediately. Camila was excited, obsessed with every detail. She'd spend hours looking at dresses online, creating Pinterest boards with decoration ideas, and talking to event planners. I participated in the important decisions, but I gave her the freedom to choose most things. After all, she had always dreamed of her perfect wedding since she was a little girl, or so she told me. We agreed the ceremony would be in an elegant hall on the outskirts of the city with capacity for 300 guests. It was a beautiful place, with spacious gardens, water fountains, and a classic decor that we both loved. The budget was considerable, almost $50,000 between the venue, food, decoration, photographer, video, music, and all the additional details. My parents contributed a part, Camila's parents another, and we covered the rest from our joint savings. During the months of preparation, I noticed some changes in Camila. She became more distant, more irritable. When I asked her what was wrong, she always had the same answer. "It's the wedding stress, love. Planning all this is exhausting." I believed her. I had heard stories of how wedding preparations could affect even the most solid couples. I tried to be understanding, help more with household chores, give her space when she needed it. But there was something else. Camila started spending more time on her phone. She took it with her everywhere, even to the bathroom. She'd put it face down when we were together, and if she received a notification, the expression on her face would change. When I asked her directly if something was wrong, she vehemently denied it. "You're being paranoid," she said. "It's just messages from work and friends about the wedding. Not everything is a conspiracy, Diego." 2 months before the wedding, Camila insisted we needed to hire a professional graphic designer for the invitations. I thought we could use some online template or a cheaper service, but she insisted that the invitations were the first impression our guests would have of our celebration. "They have to be perfect," she repeated constantly. In the end, I gave in. We contacted a designer who charged $2,000 just for the design and printing of the invitations. We had several meetings with the designer, a woman named Patricia, about 40 years old with experience in luxury events. In the first meeting, Patricia showed us several styles: classic, modern, minimalist, romantic. Camila decided on an elegant design in gold and white tones with sophisticated calligraphy and embossed details. Patricia took detailed notes on our names, the wedding date, the location, and all the details that needed to be included. Patricia sent us the first digital proofs 2 weeks later. I quickly reviewed the design on my phone while I was in a work meeting. It looked beautiful, elegant, exactly what Camila wanted. I gave her my approval via text. Camila replied saying she would review the final details with Patricia that afternoon and that we'd give the green light for printing. 3 weeks passed. The invitations arrived at our house in elegant white boxes, each individually wrapped in tissue paper. Camila was radiant when she opened them. "They're perfect," she exclaimed, taking a picture of one to upload to Instagram with the caption, "Not much longer now. Our special day is getting closer and closer." The post received hundreds of likes and comments from excited friends and family. That night, Camila started organizing the invitations into groups according to the guests: family, work friends, university friends, acquaintances. Each group had its envelope hand-addressed with the same elegant calligraphy as the design. I was helping her check the addresses on a list we had prepared months ago. It was a tedious but necessary process. I picked up one of the invitations to admire the work. The design was flawless. The paper had a superior weight and texture, and the gold embossed details shimmered under the lamplight. I began to read the text, enjoying seeing our names together in such a formal and elegant format. And then I saw it on the line where our full names should have been, where it should have said Diego Ramirez and Camila Torres. It said something completely different. It said Sebastian Mendoza and Camila Torres. Sebastian, her ex-boyfriend's name. I blinked several times thinking my eyes were deceiving me, but no. There it was in elegant golden calligraphy, her ex-boyfriend's name instead of mine, on our wedding invitation. On all 300 invitations that we had just printed for $2,000. "Camila," I said, my voice coming out calmer than I expected. "Come here a moment." She walked over with a smile until she saw my expression. "What's wrong?" I showed her the invitation, pointing to the line with our names. Her face paled for a second, barely perceptible, before an expression of exaggerated surprise took its place. "Oh my God," she said, bringing her hand to her mouth. "It must be a printing error. I can't believe they didn't check it before printing." "A printing error," I repeated. "Patricia misspelled my name as your ex-boyfriend's. It must have been a mix-up with the files," Camila insisted, taking the invitation from my hands. "I'm going to call Patricia right now to complain. This is unacceptable. She has to reprint everything at her cost." I watched her as she dialed Patricia's number. Her performance was convincing, but there was something in her eyes, a split second of panic that I had seen before her mask of indignation was perfectly placed. Something wasn't right. "Patricia," Camila said when the designer answered, her voice loaded with frustration. "We have a huge problem with the invitations." There was a pause while Patricia spoke on the other end. "No, they're not okay. There's a serious error. The groom's name is wrong. She says Sebastian instead of Diego." Another longer pause this time. Camila's expression tensed. "What do you mean that was the name I gave you?" My heart started beating faster. "Patricia says I gave her that name," Camila said, looking at me with wide, confused eyes, as if this were a shocking revelation to her too. "She also says that on the information sheet I sent her by email, Sebastian appeared as the groom's name." "That's impossible," I said, holding out my hand. "Give me the phone." Camila hesitated for a moment before passing it to me. "Patricia, it's Diego," I said, trying to stay calm. "Can you explain to me exactly what information you received?" The designer sighed on the other end of the line. "Look, Diego, I have all the emails saved. Camila sent me a Word document with all the information 6 weeks ago. In that document, the groom's name appears as Sebastian Mendoza. I designed the invitations exactly as I was instructed. I even sent the digital proofs for approval before printing." "You sent digital proofs?" "Yes, 3 different versions. Camila approved them 4 weeks ago and gave me the green light to print. It's all documented in the emails." I looked at Camila, who was avoiding my gaze. "Can you send me those emails right now?" "Of course, I'll forward them to you right away," Patricia replied, her voice filled with professional discomfort. I hung up and handed the phone back to Camila. "Explain this now." "Diego, I don't know what happened," she began, her eyes filling with tears. "Maybe I got confused when I filled out the form. I was thinking about other things. You know, I've been stressed with work and the wedding. It was an honest mistake." "You were thinking about Sebastian while planning our wedding?" I asked, feeling the betrayal settle in my chest like a cold stone. "No, not like that. It's just that he wrote to me a few months ago just to say hi, to see how I was doing. It didn't mean anything." There it was, the first crack in her story. "Sebastian wrote to you. When? Why didn't you tell me?" Camila bit her lip. "Because I knew you'd get like this, jealous and insecure. It was just a casual conversation, Diego. Nothing more." My phone vibrated. It was an email from Patricia with the attachments. I opened the first one, a Word document with all the wedding information. Sure enough, where my name should have been, there was Sebastian Mendoza. I opened the next emails, the 3 versions of the digital proofs Patricia had sent. In all of them, clearly visible, was Sebastian's name instead of mine. Camila, Patricia sent you 3 different proofs, all with Sebastian's name. You approved all of them. This wasn't a typo. This was deliberate. Tears started streaming down her cheeks. It wasn't. I swear I didn't see it. I must have looked them over quickly at work. I didn't pay attention to the text. I just saw the overall design. You approved 3 different versions without reading our own names on our wedding invitation? I said, my voice sounding hollow even to me. Do you really expect me to believe that? It's the truth. Diego, please, you have to believe me. I would never do something like this intentionally. I love you. I'm going to marry you, not Sebastian. Are you still in contact with him? The silence that followed was answer enough. Camila, answer me. Are you still in contact with Sebastian? It's complicated, she finally whispered. Something broke inside me at that moment. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't explosive. It was quiet and final, like a cable stretched to its limit that finally snaps. Show me your phone. What? No, that's an invasion of my privacy. Camila, we just discovered you put your ex's name on our wedding invitations. Either you show me your phone right now or this relationship ends this instant. She backed away, clutching her phone to her chest as if it were something precious. You can't ask me to do that. You have to trust me. Trust is earned and you just destroyed mine. I held out my hand. The phone. Last chance. I saw the conflict in her eyes. She knew that if she showed me her phone, everything would be over. And if she didn't show me, it would be over too. She was trapped and she knew it. Finally, her shoulders slumped in defeat. Okay, but before you see it, I need to explain the context. The phone first, explanations later. With trembling hands, she handed me her phone. I unlocked it with the password I knew, the same one we had shared for years as a symbol of transparency in our relationship. How ironic. I opened WhatsApp and searched for Sebastian's name. The conversation was there. Months of messages, hundreds of them. I started reading from the beginning, for months ago, shortly after we got engaged. Sebastian, I saw on Instagram you got engaged. Congrats, I guess. Camila, thanks. Yes, Diego finally did it. Sebastian, finally? You didn't sound very excited in the post. Camila, I'm happy. It's what I always wanted. Sebastian, what you always wanted or what you always thought you should want. And so it continued. Sebastian planting seeds of doubt. Camila responding at first with reservation, but gradually with more openness. I sped through weeks of conversation until the messages became more intense. Camila, sometimes I wonder what would have happened if we hadn't broken up. Sebastian, I think about it every day too, Camila. Camila, we shouldn't talk about this. I'm getting married. Sebastian, to the wrong person. We both know it. I kept reading, my stomach churning with every message. There were photos too. Camila had sent him selfies, casual pictures of her day, nothing explicit, but intimate in a way that made me feel like I had been punched. And then I reached a message from 2 weeks ago. Sebastian, have you sent the invitations yet? Camila, not yet. We're still finishing organizing them. Sebastian, are you really going to do it? Marry someone while you're thinking about me. Camila, I don't know what to do. Everything is planned. The families are excited. The money's spent. I can't cancel now. Sebastian, of course you can. If you love me like you say you do. Camila, I do love you. You know that, but it's complicated. Sebastian, it's not complicated. Either you choose me or you stay with your safe, boring life with Diego. And then the message that explained everything. Camila, when I see the invitations with his name, I'll know if I'm making the right decision. If I feel something seeing our names together, I'll stay with him. If I don't feel anything, maybe you're right. Maybe you're the one. I looked up at Camila, who was sobbing on the couch. So this was your little test. You put his name intentionally to see how you felt. It wasn't like that. It's right here, in your own words. I showed her the phone. You told him it was a test, that if you felt something seeing the invitations with my name, you'd stay with me. But you didn't feel anything, did you? That's why you approved the invitations with his name. Subconsciously, you wanted it to be him. Diego, please. How many times have you seen each other? Her silence was deafening. Camila, how many times have you seen Sebastian in these 4 months? 3 times, she whispered. Just for coffee to talk. Nothing more. Nothing more. I repeated, feeling a bitter laugh rise in my throat. You've been secretly seeing your ex. You've told him you love him. You put his name on our wedding invitations, and you want me to believe nothing else happened. Nothing physical happened. We just talked. Just what? You just emotionally betrayed everything we built together? You just put our marriage in doubt while I was planning our future. I got up from the couch. I needed space, air, distance. I walked to the window, looking at the city lights without really seeing them. Behind me, Camila kept crying, but it didn't move me anymore. Emotional infidelity hurt just as much as physical infidelity. Maybe more, because it meant I had lost her heart long before I knew it. I'm going to ask you a question, I said without turning around. And I want the absolute truth. Did you ever stop loving Sebastian? The pause before her answer was enough, but I needed to hear her say it. I don't know, she finally admitted in a broken voice. I thought I had. When I met you, Diego, I thought I had moved on, but when Sebastian reappeared, all those emotions came back and I realized that maybe I had never gotten over him completely. I nodded, a strange calm taking over me. It was the kind of calm that comes after the storm, when there's nothing left to destroy. Thank you for your honesty. Finally, Diego, we can fix this. We'll go to couples therapy. I'll cut off contact with Sebastian completely. Please, don't throw away everything we've built over a mistake. It wasn't a mistake, Camila. It was a choice. Multiple choices over months. I turned to look at her, and what I saw was a stranger. And the next choice is mine. What are you going to do? What I did was something she never expected. The first thing I did was stay silent. I didn't tell her my plans. I didn't reveal my next steps. I just took my jacket and my keys. I need air, I told her. I'll be back tomorrow to get my things. Are you leaving me? Camila asked, her voice full of panic. Just like that, without even trying to fix it? There's nothing left to fix, I replied from the door. You said it yourself. You never got over Sebastian. I'm not going to be anyone's second choice. That night, I slept at my best friend Roberto's house. I told him everything while we drank beer on his balcony. Roberto, who had been my buddy since college, listened in silence, his expression growing grimmer. Brother, I'm so sorry, he said finally, but you have to be smart about this. Don't just cancel everything emotionally. There's money involved, families, plans. You need a lawyer. A lawyer? We're not married yet. Exactly. That's why you need to protect yourself. You have joint accounts now, shared wedding expenses. If this gets ugly, she could claim half of everything, even if it's her fault. I know someone who can help you. His name is Fernando Gutierrez, a specialist in family law. The next morning, after barely sleeping, I contacted Fernando. His office was in the city center, in a modern glass building. Fernando turned out to be a man of about 45, bald, with glasses and a presence that radiated professional competence. Diego, I'm sorry for the circumstances that bring you here, he said after hearing my full story. But you came to the right place. We have to act quickly and strategically. What do you suggest? First, document everything. You already have the WhatsApp messages, the emails from the designer. That's pure gold. Second, we need to review all the wedding contracts. Who signed what? What financial commitments are in your name? We spent the next 2 hours reviewing every document. It turned out that most of the contracts were in Camila's name or in both our names. The event hall, the catering, the photographer, the DJ. Everything required cancellation in advance to recover at least part of the money. Here's the plan, Fernando said, taking notes on his tablet. We're going to send certified letters to all the vendors canceling the services. We'll include copies of the invitations with the wrong name as justification for cancellation due to breach of services. This gives us a legal basis to demand full refunds in some cases. And Camila, officially she's part of the contract too. But if you cancel first and document the reasons, especially with evidence of emotional infidelity, we have the advantage. Most vendors will want to avoid legal trouble and will return at least 50%. I signed all the necessary documents. Fernando assured me he'd have everything ready in 24 hours. Meanwhile, I had to do the hardest part, talk to my family. My parents lived in a quiet neighborhood on the outskirts of the city. When I arrived that afternoon, my mother was making dinner and my father was reading the newspaper in the living room. They both smiled when they saw me, completely oblivious to the bomb I was about to drop. Diego, what a surprise, my mother said, hugging me. Is Camila coming? I'll set another plate. No, Mom, I need to talk to you guys. It's important. My mother's smile faded. My father put his newspaper aside. They both looked at me with growing concern. We sat in the living room, and I told them everything. The messages, Sebastian's name on the invitations, the emotional betrayal, my decision to cancel the wedding. My mother cried. My father turned red with anger. That, he started, but couldn't finish the sentence, too furious to find the right words. How dare she? My mother said through tears. After everything we did for her, we treated her like a daughter. We gave her $10,000 for the wedding, and this is how she repays us. I'm sorry, Mom. I know you're also involved in this. Don't apologize, my father said, regaining his voice. You did nothing wrong. That woman betrayed you. You did the right thing by finding out before the marriage. Can you imagine if you found out later? With kids involved. That night my mother insisted I stay for dinner. While we ate, we talked about the next steps. My parents fully supported my decision. My father even offered to go with me when I went to pick up my things from the apartment I shared with Camila. Have you told her yet? My mother asked. Does she know you're going to cancel everything? Not officially, but she must imagine it. That girl is going to try to manipulate you, my father warned. She's going to cry. She's going to promise to change. She's going to play the "it was a mistake" card. Don't fall for it. Maintain your dignity. The next day, Fernando called me. I have news. All the contracts have been notified of the cancellation. The event hall agrees to refund 60% because it's outside the minimum cancellation period. The photographer is refunding the full amount because he only received a 20% deposit. The catering is refunding 40%. In total, you'll recover approximately $23,000 of the $45,000 spent. And the invitations? Patricia agrees to refund $1,000 and destroy the remaining invitations at no extra cost. She's mortified by the error, although technically it wasn't her fault. She says she doesn't want her name associated with this scandal. Scandal? Fernando laughed briefly. Diego, in the world of social events, this is pure gossip gold. The story of the invitations with the ex's name will circulate for months. Patricia told me other colleagues have already asked her about it. Perfect. Let it circulate. Let everyone know the truth. I wasn't going to protect Camila's reputation when she hadn't protected our future. Is there anything else? Fernando continued. Camila has hired her own lawyer. Apparently, she found out you canceled everything, and she's trying to claim emotional and reputational damages. Emotional damages? She did it to me. It's a common strategy. She's trying to get ahead of your narrative, but don't worry, we have all the evidence on our side. The messages with Sebastian, the invitations, everything. Her case has no merit. That afternoon, I went to the apartment with my father and Roberto. Camila wasn't there, but she had left a note in the kitchen. Diego, please, let's talk. This doesn't have to end like this. I love you. I'll wait for you forever if necessary. I packed my things in silence. Clothes, personal documents, some furniture that was mine before we moved in together. Roberto helped load the boxes into his truck while my father supervised, making sure I didn't leave anything important behind. I found my laptop on the desk in the bedroom. I opened it to check if it was working, and there on the screen was an open folder, wedding photos. Curiosity got the better of me. I clicked. Inside were hundreds of photos, photos of dresses Camila had considered, photos of the event hall, photos of decoration options, and then I saw something that made my blood run cold. A subfolder named Sebastian. I opened it. Inside were recent photos of Camila and Sebastian together. They weren't just innocent coffee dates, as she had said. There were photos in elegant restaurants, in a park holding hands, a photo of them kissing in what looked like a mall parking lot. Son of a bitch, Roberto muttered behind me, seeing the photos over my shoulder. My father squeezed my shoulder. Copy all of that. All the evidence you can get. I connected a USB drive and copied the entire folder. Every photo, every file, concrete evidence that Camila had lied about the nature of her relationship with Sebastian. It hadn't just been conversations, it had been a full-blown affair. When we finished packing everything, I closed the apartment door for the last time. I left the keys in the mailbox and walked away without looking back. On the way to my parents' house, where I'd be staying temporarily, my phone started buzzing with messages from Camila. Diego, I see you came for your things. Why didn't you wait for me? We need to talk, please. Your mother blocked me on Facebook. What did you tell them? You can't do this. We have guests waiting, families involved, a commitment. I ignored every message. Instead, I opened my own Facebook account for the first time in weeks. It was time to control the narrative before she did. I wrote a brief but clear post. With deep regret, I'm informing you that my wedding to Camila Torres has been canceled due to irreconcilable circumstances. I thank everyone who supported us during this time. The details are private, but the decision is final and irreversible. I posted it and waited. The comments started pouring in within minutes. Questions, expressions of surprise, messages of support, and also inevitably the real story began to circulate. Someone who worked with Patricia mentioned the invitations. Another commented on the rumors about the ex-boyfriend. The truth had a way of coming out eventually. My phone rang. It was an unknown number. I answered. Diego Ramirez, a female voice asked. Yes. Who's speaking? I'm Laura, Sebastian Mendoza's sister. My heart stopped for a second. I'm Laura, Sebastian Mendoza's sister. The voice repeated on the other end of the line. I need to talk to you urgently about my brother and Camila. I don't think we have anything to talk about. I replied, my voice filled with exhaustion. Your brother has already done enough damage. Please, just hear me out for 5 minutes. After that, if you want to hang up, I'll completely understand, but there are things you need to know. Something in her tone made me hesitate. She didn't sound defensive or aggressive. She sounded concerned. Okay, 5 minutes. Thank you. Look, I know this is going to sound strange, but I need you to know that my brother isn't who Camila thinks he is. She's living in a fantasy, and you're the victim of that fantasy. What do you mean? Laura sighed deeply. Sebastian is married. He has 2 kids. He's been living in Medellin for 3 years. He never had any intention of getting back with Camila. He was just playing with her. The words dropped like bombs. What? My brother is a mess. Always has been. He loves female attention. He loves feeling wanted. When he saw Camila was getting married, his ego couldn't handle it. So he decided to sabotage your relationship just because he could, but he never left his wife. He never even considered it. And why are you telling me this? Because I saw your Facebook post, I saw the comments, the speculation, and I realized this situation got out of control. You don't deserve to be a victim of my brother's sick game. And believe me, I've tried to warn Camila, but she blocked me when I told her Sebastian was married. She didn't want to believe me. Camila knows he's married? She does now. I sent her pictures of Sebastian's wedding, pictures of his kids, but she insists he's going to leave his wife for her. She's completely delusional. I closed my eyes, processing this new information. Camila's betrayal was even worse than I thought. She had not only been emotionally unfaithful, but she had done it for a man who was using her, who never had any real intentions with her. Laura, I appreciate you contacting me, but this doesn't change anything between Camila and me. I've already made my decision. I know and I don't blame you. I just wanted you to know the whole truth, and I also wanted to apologize on behalf of my family. My brother is an idiot, and I'm sorry you were dragged into his mess. After hanging up, I sat in silence in my old room at my parents' house. The irony was almost comical. Camila had destroyed our relationship for a man who wasn't even available, who was just manipulating her to feed his ego. Part of me felt a dark satisfaction knowing this, but another part just felt a deep emptiness. The next few days were a whirlwind. The rumors spread quickly through our social circle. Some friends called to express their support. Others, mainly Camila's friends, tried to mediate, suggesting I was being too harsh, that all couples go through difficult times. It wasn't a difficult time, I explained to one of them on the phone. It was a systematic betrayal over months, and the evidence is irrefutable. Camila's family also tried to contact me. Her mother called me crying, begging me to reconsider. Diego, please. Camila made a mistake, but she loves you. She's destroyed. She's not eating, she's not sleeping. Please, at least talk to her. Mrs. Torres, with all due respect, your daughter had multiple opportunities to be honest with me. She chose to lie again and again. There's no going back. But the wedding, all the plans. What are we going to tell the family, the friends? Tell them the truth, that the wedding was canceled because the bride was in love with another man. The silence on the other end of the line was heavy. Finally, Mrs. Torres sighed. You're cruel, Diego. I never thought you were so cold. I'm not cruel, Mrs. Torres. I'm someone who respects himself. A week after canceling the wedding, Fernando called me into his office. I have news. Camila withdrew her lawsuit for emotional damages. Why? Because her lawyers saw all the evidence we have. The messages, the photos, everything. He advised her not to proceed because she would lose humiliatingly. Besides, it seems Camila has other problems now. What problems? Fernando showed me his phone. It was an Instagram post from Sebastian, a family photo. Him, his wife, his 2 kids, all smiling in a park. The caption read, "Family is everything. Blessed to have the love of my life by my side for 10 happy years of marriage." Sebastian just made his family situation public, Fernando explained. Apparently his wife found out about Camila and gave him an ultimatum. Either he made a public declaration of his commitment to her, or they'd get a divorce. He chose his wife. So, Camila? Camila just realized she destroyed her relationship with you for absolutely nothing. Sebastian used her and discarded her, and now she's alone. Without you, without him, and with her entire community knowing what she did. I didn't feel satisfaction, just a deep relief that I had discovered everything in time. What about the refunds? All processed. The checks are ready to be cashed. In total, you've recovered $23,400. Your parents will get their share, and the rest is yours. That night I decided to do something I'd been putting off. I opened my laptop and started writing, not for revenge, but to process. I wrote about the betrayal, about the signs I had ignored, about how love sometimes blinds us to reality. I published it on an anonymous blog I had created years ago, but had never used. To my surprise, the post went viral. Thousands of people shared it, commented, related to the story. I received messages from men and women who had gone through similar situations, thanking me for putting into words what they felt. One comment in particular struck me. "Thanks for sharing this. My girlfriend has been acting strange lately, distant with her phone. Your story opened my eyes. I'm going to have a serious conversation with her before it's too late." 2 weeks later, Roberto invited me to a party. "You need to get out, brother. Meet new people, get your mind off things." I'm not ready for that yet. I'm not telling you to look for a girlfriend, just to get out of your cave and remember there's life after Camila. I reluctantly agreed. The party was at a mutual friend's house, a birthday with about 30 people. Music, drinks, conversations. I felt awkward at first, but gradually I relaxed. That's where I met Valentina. She was a friend of Roberto's girlfriend. She worked as a veterinarian. She had a genuine smile and a contagious laugh. We talked for hours about everything and nothing. I didn't mention Camila. I didn't talk about the canceled wedding. I just enjoyed a straightforward conversation with someone interesting. At the end of the night, Valentina gave me her number. "I like talking to you, Diego. If you want to grab coffee sometime with no pressure, let me know." I didn't call immediately. I was still processing everything, but I saved her number, a small light of possibility in the midst of the darkness. A month after the cancellation, my mother called me excitedly. "Diego, you're not going to believe this. Remember Patricia, the invitation designer?" "Of course. What about her?" "She contacted me. She wants to offer you a job. Apparently your story reached her clients, and several were impressed with how you handled the situation. A couple getting married next year wants you to write their personalized vows for their ceremony. Patricia gave them your contact. She says there's a demand for that kind of service and that you have a talent for writing." It was ironic. From the ashes of my canceled wedding, a professional opportunity was emerging. Writing vows for other couples. I don't know, Mom. It's a bit what? Poetic. Fair, Diego. You know better than anyone what real commitment means, what loyalty means. Those couples would be lucky to have your words on their special day. I thought about it. I finally contacted the couple. We met at a cafe, and they told me their story. 8 years together, 2 years of long-distance dating when she studied abroad. Obstacles overcome together. They wanted vows that reflected their journey, their resilience, their true commitment. I wrote their vows with all my heart, not as someone bitter about love, but as someone who finally understood its true value. When they read them aloud during our last meeting, they both cried. "This is perfect," she said. "You captured exactly what we feel." They paid me $500 for the job, but more importantly, I felt useful, creative, alive in a way I hadn't felt in months. It was in that moment, sitting in my car after that meeting, when I finally dialed Valentina's number. She answered on the second ring. "Hello, Valentina. It's Diego from the birthday party a month ago." Diego, what a surprise. I thought maybe you'd lost my number. No, I was just processing some things. Are you still interested in that coffee? I'd love to. We arranged for the following Saturday. It wasn't a date. It wasn't the start of a relationship. It was just coffee with someone interesting, with no expectations, no pressure. But for the first time in months, I felt something like hope. Meanwhile, Camila had disappeared from social media. According to mutual friends, she had moved to another city, trying to start over far from the gossip and the stares. I felt no pleasure in her downfall, only relief that our paths had definitively separated. The real revenge wasn't ruining her life, it was moving on with mine. Coffee with Valentina turned into dinners. Dinners turned into weekend walks. There was no pressure, no expectations of immediate commitment, just two people enjoying each other's company, building something new without the shadows of the past. 3 months after meeting her, I finally told her the whole story. Not because I felt I had to, but because I wanted her to know me completely. We were sitting in her apartment after cooking together when the words just came out. There's something you need to know about me, I began. About why I was so closed off when we met. Valentina put down her wine glass and looked at me attentively. I'm listening. I told her everything. The invitations, the messages, the betrayal, the canceled wedding. She listened without interrupting, her expression showing empathy, but not pity. Thank you for trusting me with this, she said when I finished. And just so we're clear, she's an idiot. You're worth so much more than that. Sometimes I still wonder if I could have done something different. If I could have seen the signs sooner. Diego, no. That's what manipulators do. They make you doubt your own perception of reality. You did everything right. She was the one who failed. Not you. Those words coming from someone who wasn't obligated to defend me, who had no agenda, meant more than I could express. Meanwhile, my new line of work writing personalized vows and speeches for weddings had unexpectedly taken off. Patricia had referred me to other clients and word of mouth had done the rest. I was booked up to 6 months in advance and charged between $500 and $1,000 per ceremony, depending on the complexity. The irony wasn't lost on me. My canceled wedding had led me to a career I had never considered, one that combined my love for words with helping other couples express their real commitments. One day, 4 months after the cancellation, I received a message from an unknown number. It was Camila. Diego, I know you probably don't want to hear from me, but I need to tell you something. I need to apologize, for real. Not the empty apologies I gave before. You were right about everything. Sebastian was using me. He never left his wife. He never intended to. I felt like the most stupid person in the world, but more than that, I realized the damage I did to you. I destroyed something beautiful for a fantasy. I don't expect your forgiveness. I just wanted you to know that I'm truly sorry and that I hope you find the happiness you deserve. I read the message several times. Part of me wanted to reply with something cruel, with something that would make her feel worse. But the truth was I no longer felt anything, not anger, not pain, not even satisfaction at her suffering, just indifference. I didn't reply, I just blocked the number. Camila was part of my past, and that's where she would stay. 6 months after meeting Valentina, I realized I had fallen in love with her. Not in the intense, obsessive way I had felt for Camila, but in a deeper, calmer way. It was love built on mutual respect, honest communication, and a genuine connection. One night, after dinner at her favorite restaurant, Valentina took my hand. Diego, there's something I want to ask you. My heart skipped a beat. What? Do you think you'll ever be able to fully trust someone again? After everything you went through with Camila, can you see a future with someone else? The question took me by surprise, but the answer came naturally. I'm already seeing it with you. It's not that I've forgotten what happened, but I've learned that not all people are the same. You've shown me with actions, not just words, that you're different, that you're real. She smiled, her eyes shining with emotion. I see a future with you too, and I just wanted to make sure we were on the same page. We're on the same page, I assured her. A year to the day after I discovered Sebastian's name on my canceled wedding invitations, I was standing on a beach at sunset with Valentina. It wasn't a marriage proposal, we weren't ready for that yet, but it was a promise that we were building something together, something solid. What are you thinking about? Valentina asked, her head resting on my shoulder. About how sometimes the worst things that happen to us end up taking us exactly where we need to be. Beach philosophy, she joked. I like it. That night, as I was driving back to the city, My phone rang. It was Roberto. "Brother, I need to tell you something," he said, his voice serious. "I just saw on Instagram. Camila got engaged." My stomach tightened for a second before I realized I didn't feel anything negative. To who? To someone she met in her new city. Apparently I don't know him, but I thought you should know in case you found out another way. Thanks for telling me, Roberto, but honestly I hope she's happy. For real. Really. Seriously. She has to live with the decisions she made, just like I live with mine. And my decisions brought me to a much better place. After hanging up, I told Valentina. "How do you feel?" she asked. "Relieved that I don't feel anything," I answered honestly. A year ago, news like that would have destroyed me. Now it just confirms that I made the right decision. What I didn't tell her, what I was just beginning to understand myself, was that Camila's betrayal had been the push I needed. It had forced me to confront what commitment, loyalty, and true love really meant. It had taught me to value my own dignity over the comfort of a familiar relationship. The invitations with the wrong name, so painful at the time, had become the symbol of my liberation. They had saved me from a marriage doomed to fail, from years of suspicion and resentment, from waking up one day at 50 and wondering why I had ignored all the signs. My writing business continued to grow. I wrote vows for over 50 couples that year, each ceremony reminding me of what love should be. Conscious choice, active commitment, unwavering honesty. And Valentina, patient and real, had become the living proof that there was life after betrayal, that not all women were like Camila, that it was possible to trust again without being naive, to love again without losing self-respect. The revenge I sought wasn't dramatic. I didn't ruin Camila's life. I didn't publicly expose every sordid detail of her betrayal. My revenge was much simpler and more effective. I built a better life without her. I found purpose in my work, genuine love with someone who valued me, and inner peace knowing I had acted with dignity, even when she didn't. And that, I discovered, was the best revenge of all. 2 years after that night, when I discovered Sebastian's name on my wedding invitations, my life was unrecognizable in the best possible way. My business of writing vows and ceremonial speeches had expanded beyond what I imagined. I no longer just wrote for weddings. Now I also created speeches for anniversaries, vow renewals, and engagement ceremonies. I had hired 2 assistants and was considering opening a physical consulting space. Valentina and I had moved in together 6 months ago. It wasn't a rushed or desperate decision. It was the natural next step in a relationship built on solid foundations. We shared a bright apartment with a balcony where she grew aromatic herbs, and I had my small office with a view of the city. One Saturday afternoon, while we were making breakfast together, she asked me something I had been expecting. "Diego, do you ever regret how things ended with Camila? Not the decision, but the time lost." I thought carefully before answering. No, because those 4 years taught me exactly what I don't want in a relationship. They taught me to recognize the signs, to trust my intuition, to not settle for less than I deserve. Without that experience, maybe I wouldn't appreciate what we have now. Valentina smiled and kissed me softly. That's the right answer. That same afternoon, Roberto called me with news. "Brother, you're not going to believe this. Remember Camila?" "Hard to forget." I replied with genuine humor, no longer bitter. Her engagement ended. Apparently, the guy found out she was still in contact with Sebastian. History repeated itself exactly. For a moment, I felt something like pity. Camila was trapped in a pattern she couldn't break, chasing fantasies that would never materialize, destroying real relationships for impossible dreams. "That's sad," I said sincerely. "I hope she eventually gets the help she needs." "You're a better person than me," Roberto commented. I'd be celebrating. 2 years ago I might have, but now I just see someone who can't get out of her own way. There's no satisfaction in that. The truth was that Camila had become a cautionary tale in our social circle. Mutual friends would tell me, without my asking, how she had isolated herself, how her family was worried, how she kept making the same destructive decisions over and over. I didn't feel victory in her downfall, only confirmation that I had escaped a miserable future. My relationship with my parents had strengthened enormously. My mother adored Valentina, and my father frequently commented on how different she was, how genuine, how respectful. "This is a real woman," he'd say, "not like that other one." At work, one of my most recent clients had particularly moved me. It was a couple in their 60s renewing their vows after 40 years of marriage. During our consultation, the husband told me something that stuck in my memory. Son, the secret to a long marriage isn't never having problems. It's choosing the right person to solve problems with together. Someone who, when things get tough, stays and fights by your side, not someone who runs away or betrays you. Those words resonated deeply. Camila had fled at the first difficulty, seeking external validation instead of strengthening what we had. Valentina, in contrast, had been by my side, even when knowing my history would have been reason enough to run. One day, 3 months after we moved in together, I came home and found Valentina on the balcony watching the sunset. I came up and hugged her from behind. One of my clients asked me about my own story today, I said. A bride getting married next month. She wanted to know how I got over my canceled wedding, how I found the strength to try again. What did you tell her? I told her it wasn't strength. It was simply letting go of what wasn't meant for me to make space for what was. That a closed door isn't a failure if it opens a better window. Valentina turned in my arms, her eyes shining. And I'm the better window? You're the whole house. I replied, and I meant it completely. That night, while we were having dinner, Valentina asked me a direct question. Do you think you'll ever marry me? The question caught me off guard, but not in a bad way. Are you proposing to me? No, just asking if it's something you consider possible after everything you've been through. More than possible, I replied, taking her hand. Probable. I just need to be sure that when I take that step, it's for the right reasons, not because of social pressure, not to meet expectations, but because I genuinely want to share my life legally with you. That's exactly the answer I was hoping for, she said with a smile. I'm in no rush. I just wanted to know we're walking in the same direction. 6 months later, on a trip to the beach we both loved, I proposed. It wasn't elaborate or expensive. It was simple, honest, genuine. I asked her to marry me because I couldn't imagine my life without her, because she made me a better person, because I chose to love her every day. She said yes, crying. And in that moment, I understood the difference. With Camila, I had been in love with the idea of being in love. With Valentina, I was in love with the real, imperfect, and wonderful person in front of me. Our wedding invitations were simple. We didn't hire an expensive designer or opt for elaborate calligraphy. We made them ourselves online with our names clearly visible, checked 10 times to make sure everything was correct. And when we sent them, we did so with the certainty that this time everything was real. The wedding was small, 50 guests, mostly close family and intimate friends. There was no drama, no lurking ex-boyfriends, no ulterior motives, just two people honestly committing to each other in front of those who loved them. I wrote our own vows, of course, and when I read them in front of Valentina with tears in my eyes, every word meant exactly what it said. They weren't empty promises or romantic fantasies. They were real commitments based on who we truly were. I choose you, I said. Not because you're perfect, but because you're perfect for me. I choose you on good days and on difficult ones. I choose you with complete transparency and honesty, and I'll keep choosing you every day of my life. That night, dancing with my wife under the stars, I thought briefly of Camila, not with bitterness or satisfaction, but with a strange gratitude. Her betrayal had broken me, yes, but it had also freed me. It had forced me to grow, to learn, to discover my own worth. The invitations with the wrong name had been my awakening. The best mistake I never made because it saved me from a future that would have been a lie. And now, holding Valentina as we danced, surrounded by people who genuinely loved us, I finally understood that revenge isn't about destroying the one who hurt you. It's about building something so beautiful with your life that their absence becomes the best gift they could have ever given you. Have you ever been betrayed right before an important moment? Did you discover the truth in time or too late? I'd love to read your experiences in the comments. And if this story resonated with you, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Sometimes the worst betrayals lead us to our best destinations. Thanks for joining me until the end.